Bonjour, madame. Do you have a moment to... Has something happened?
You bet something's happened! That slime bag! How dare he say my performance was mediocre!
I'm sure he didn't mean...
That's it! I give up. I'm done with this acting. With this city.
Take a deep breath. One man's opinion, and a wrong one at that, is not powerful enough to topple a career like yours.
You're right. Let him think what he wants. I'm sorry. I'm an actress. It's my prerogative to be a little overdramatic.
Very impressive, Monsieur Hastings. A position in negotiations would suit you well.
Is there something I can help you both with? You do know what I do, don't you? I was on stage, performing in front of a packed house.
I did not mean to.
Zach, he was there. You two seemed pretty friendly, he'll tell you. So will that Russian lady from the gala, she was with him.
Monsieur Demir and Mademoiselle Babagne. Together. Très bien.
Oh, he's already seen it. I told him he didn't have to come.
A supportive husband indeed.
Yeah, real supportive. Your guess is as good as mine.
It is most important that I speak with him.
Then you've got a missing painting and a missing husband on your hands because I haven't seen him. Look, I don't think I can take much more today.
Mademoiselle Court Smythe was found murdered last night.
Okay.
I thought perhaps the news would be a little more jarring.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I don't really want to hear about anyone dying, but me and her... Well, there's no love lost.
Madame Allen's nonchalant response has certainly caught me off guard.
You have been most helpful.
What do you need? That sounds rather ominous.
I would not ask you to do something I would not consider doing myself. Only on this occasion it is I that must execute the other part of the plan.
What do you need me to do?
Madame Hélène, you must hold her attention while I take the opportunity to look around.
I certainly can. I'll appeal to her love of attention. Mrs. Allen, that photograph there, is that really you on a live film set? What do you need? What can I do for you?
Merci, Monsieur Hastings. You have been a valuable asset once again.
You're just full of questions, aren't you?
You have been most helpful.
What do you need? What can I do?
Merci, monsieur.
You're just full of...
You have been most...
Ah. Oh.
Voila. Your Grace, now that Bartholomew has been found, would you...
As my way of thanks, I'll answer your questions. Very well, get on with it. I hope that comes from an inquisitive nature rather than a place of accusation. I would...
You mean Mademoiselle Warbeck?
Who else? She's running that museum into the ground.
And following the meeting?
I returned to the church to prepare for Compline prayers, although I don't think I was alone.
You don't think?
I got the feeling that someone had followed me from the museum. I never saw them, but I know what I felt. None. I knew her merely by reputation, and a questionable one at that. Do you want to tell me what all these questions are about?
Mademoiselle Court-Smythe was murdered last night.
If you plan on being the bearer of such news, perhaps you should think of going about it with a little more civility. How did the young girl die?
There was a fire in her apartment, although it wasn't the flames that took her life, but poison.
Arson and poisoning. Oh, what is this world coming to?
Bishop Mountjoy claims he barely knew Mademoiselle Court-Smythe, but still showed a level of empathy I was not expecting. Perhaps I judged his blunt facade too quickly.
Found it? Really? Oh, heavens be! The Lord has shown his will once more.
I can only assume his delayed excitement came from being off guard. Unfortunately, I must turn his elation into disappointment.
If your grace would allow me to finish. A forgery of it was found in Mademoiselle Court-Smythe's apartment, but it was destroyed in the fire.
She was the thief all along? Well, that just... A forgery? You mean she made a copy of it?
It appears that way.
I will rightly light a candle for her soul this evening. But that will not give her absolution from what she faces, kneeling before our Lord.
Huh.
What do you need? What can I do for you? What do you need? What can I do?
Merci, Monsieur Hastings.
Gentlemen, what can I do for you?
I was hoping to speak with Mademoiselle Farquhar.
I'm afraid she already has her hands full with the story. Unless you've come with a bigger one than what she's working on. Let's not be so hasty. That could be just what we need.
Gentlemen, what can I do for you?
This is your office. It's very impressive.
Mademoiselle, would you have time to answer some questions?
I don't really have time right now. Perhaps we can schedule...
I assure you I shall remain focused and my questions relevant.
Fine. Make it fast. Is she all right?
I'm afraid not.
Heavens. How awful. Did she have any close relatives?
I do not believe so. And her parents have both passed also. She was the last remaining Court Smythe.
A question I did not expect. Although at least she is showing some form of compassion for Mademoiselle Court Smythe's family, or lack thereof.
I only met her recently in a professional capacity. What are they going to do with her exhibit?
I cannot say, but they may not be as forthcoming with her work now.
I'm sorry, Detective. I don't understand.
Mademoiselle Court Smythe was behind the painting's disappearance, and a forgery was discovered in her apartment.
So she stole the original and made a forgery? What heavens for?
That we are still yet to learn.
Am I a suspect?
We are just trying to gather all the information. Isn't that right, Poirot?
Oui, that is correct.
I'm sorry. It's just a lot to take in at once. I was working late into the evening yesterday. I had to get my article on the gala written. And the photographs, they had to be developed. There was probably someone still around in the office if you wanted to check. I'm sure you want to have every I dotted and T crossed. Really? I must have been so busy not to notice him. At least you...
Was there anyone else present in the office?
If Mr. Aylesworth was there, Nathaniel, my editor, must have been.
It strikes me as rather strange that Mademoiselle does not recall seeing such an important figure in the office. But not everyone can be as observant as I. I shall speak with the editor, as he will be able to confirm the presence of both in the office.
Merci, mademoiselle. That is all for now.
What can I do for you, Detective? Well, Detective, this is a surprise.
A surprise, monsieur?
I wasn't expecting to be on the receiving end of an interrogation. I had nothing to do with the fire or her death.
You are aware of Mademoiselle Court Smythe's demise?
There isn't much in this city I don't know about. And for your little notepad, or wherever you're storing the facts, that report... Farquhar, she was in the office and can confirm I was there.
It appears that Monsieur Aylesworth is more preoccupied with proving his innocence than showing any compassion for Mademoiselle Court Smythe herself.
I will not take up any more of your time. If you would be so kind. Merci, mademoiselle.
What do you need? What can I do for you?
Merci, Monsieur Hastings.
What do you need?
Merci, Monsieur.
It looks like she was telling the truth after all.
About composing the letter, oui. But we cannot confirm where it was penned.
What's all this other stuff? I don't think it's from the letter to her father.
It seems we have stumbled across the names and addresses for the guests of the gala, although they are not all legible. We have gathered all the information we can from the guests at the gala, all except...
Betty's husband, Mr. Christensen.
Oui. We are now in possession of his address, where he is no doubt hiding like a frightened young boy avoiding his headmaster's ruler.
Voila. And just like that, the address of Monsieur Christiansen's apartment.
Remind me why we've lied our way into a man's apartment while he's not here?
Monsieur Christiansen was accused of harassing a young lady who has now been murdered, and he has not been seen since, even by his wife. Does that not strike you as peculiar?
Do you really think he could be capable of murder?
I believe everyone is capable, under the right circumstances. And right now, I believe Monsieur Christiansen is in that position. While we have no suspect to question, let us use our time wisely and search for clues. Leave no stone unturned.
Huh. Aha. Huh. Huh. Aha. Huh. Oh. Hmm.
Monsieur Hastings, your assistance is required.
Of course. What do you need? What can I do for you?
Monsieur Christiansen was at the scene of the crime smoking with Mademoiselle Court Smythe before her death. Could he be the holder of the original Penitent Magdalene painting? He may very well have hidden it here.
Oh.
Gentlemen, you're back.
Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Detective Hercule Poirot of the Kingdom of Belgium's police force.
You should have led with that before. Nathaniel Dryden, editor of the London Illustrated News.
My apologies. I was not aware of your position on our initial meeting.
That's quite all right. You were still more polite than most of the people that come through my door. What can I do for you? I did, but that was supposed to be an exclusive. How did you know?
It is a detective's job to know such things.
Doesn't really explain how, but okay. He said he had something to tell me that was going to blow me away. I couldn't say no. Indeed, she was. Although she was working on her own story, so I left her to it.
At no point did she leave the office?
She's a very hard worker and won't leave until the story is just how she wants it. Needless to say, she outstayed me. She had photographs to develop too, so was in the dark room for some time. I'm sorry, gentlemen, but I have another appointment, if you don't mind. This place is usually full of all sorts that think they have a story for us, or want to know more about something we've published. I was meaning to mention that to Florence, actually.
Mention what, monsieur?
A young foreign girl came in asking about a piece that was on show at the museum. Originated in Eastern Europe somewhere, and Florence had written an article on it.
Did she say why she was so interested?
She said she was researching its journey from its first home with an affluent family. I forget the name. I couldn't tell her much more, besides that it was going to be moved from the museum shortly. No doubt into another exhibition somewhere.
Could this inquisitive young woman have been Mademoiselle Babagna? But why so curious about that particular piece of jewelry?
Merci. You have been most accommodating.
Oh. Ah. Huh. Aha. Ah.
Ah, Poirot. Good to see you.
The feeling is mutual, Monsieur Demire.
You and your formalities. Let's talk over here.
Is everything all right?
Miss Farquhar is interviewing Betty. I thought we should talk privately over here. I heard about Irene. Tragic news. And what's this I hear about poison?
Who told you that?
It doesn't take long for news like that to spread in this city.
I would appreciate some discretion between friends. But oui, Mademoiselle was poisoned.
Anything I can help with? I won't take offense, as I know you're just doing your job. I attended the evening performance of Betty's show. Anastasia and I had a grand old time.
She accompanied you as your date?
She was at a loose end after the gala. Don't worry, I'm not here to tread on any toes. I mean, he can hold a conversation, of sorts.
You do not think particularly highly of him.
I've never had a problem with him before. Look, I ran into him last night in a bar after the show, and by the looks of him, it wasn't his first drink of the night. He was trying to sell me a lucrative business opportunity, a way we could both make some quick money.
Did you take him up on his offer?
God, no. When someone offers you something that sounds too good to be true, it usually is. That was some weekend. You should get him to tell you about it sometime.
Bragging is a sign of overconfidence and grandiose behavior.
You know, at first I found those kind of replies annoying. But now, charming almost.
I shall accept that as both a compliment and a sign of your maturity.
If it wasn't for the detective here, I would probably still be wallowing in my own anger and self-pity.
You have lived a life many of us have only heard about in stories. A life that we all hope no one will have to live again.
I second that.
Your family must be proud of the man you have become, as am I. I will not take up any more of your time. I do not mean to interrupt.
Then perhaps you should wait until we have finished the interview.
I do not mean to interrupt.
Then perhaps you should wait until we have...
What do you need? What can I do for you?
I will not take up. Bonjour, mademoiselle. Is everything all right? Do not worry. It will not be long before the murderer is brought to justice.
It's not that. I just cannot understand how such historically relevant pieces like this remain in British hands. It doesn't belong here.
I'm sorry, mademoiselle. I do not have the answer. I'm sure they are well maintained, if that is any consolation.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sure this is the last thing you wish to be talking about. Is there something I can help you with? Well, after it was all cut short rather abruptly, we made our way to Mrs. Allen's play.
Oui, mademoiselle?
Mr. Demir and myself. We were all at a loose end and he was kind enough to invite me. Oh, I wasn't aware Mr. Hastings was to be the focus of Florence's article.
On the contrary, it is only one of many she took at the gala. What interests me is the brooch.
Would you believe I found it? Amazing how careless some people can be.
And you were intending on returning it?
Of course. It just slipped my mind with all the commotion of the painting.
Mademoiselle Kortsma no longer requires it. I shall hold on to it for now.
Yes, and it was something that I wanted to speak with you about, actually. At the gala, I spoke with the bishop and he mentioned a painting he had seen last year. But it was one that I'd read had been stolen. He couldn't have seen it when he said, unless... Well, it didn't sit well with me. So when Evelyn escorted you both to the restoration room and he left, I followed him. I stayed well back, and the bishop is hardly the most threatening. I followed him into his church, but he was gone. I looked everywhere, but he was nowhere to be seen. It was like he just evaporated.
He is a man of God, not a magician.
I don't know what to say. He wasn't there. I decided to wait outside, but when he eventually left, he had a wrapped package under his arm.
You have been most helpful, mademoiselle. I shall not take up any more of your time.
Huh.
What do you need? What can I...
I will not take up any more.
It would be my pleasure.
You have been most helpful, madame.
What do you need?
I will not take up.
What do you need? What can I do for you?
I will not take up it.